Hey, Dallas. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Hopefully, everybody had a great week.
Hi, Dallas.
And with that, I am going to go ahead and share here. Hopefully, my screen will behave. There we go. Thanks, Fixing My Faith, for being with us. We appreciate it.
Indeed, yes.
And now I am just trying to get the right screen up here so that we can kick it off.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for your patience, everyone.
Yep, thank you. It's one of those, it's been one of those weeks over and over and over. So and like we often say, it's not about perfection. And so we just want to we just appreciate everybody for being here tonight, and looking forward to another great interaction with everybody, and hopefully you can gain something from what we bring forward tonight. Before we get started, just so you guys, John's had a rough couple of days. He's been he's in a little bit of pain tonight, and so you'll probably hear more talking from me tonight than him, but he's joining us anyway. So I really appreciate that, despite the fact that he's not feeling the best, that he's here, because you guys are really important to us, and that's why we're here. We want to be able to share some of the things that we have learned and some of the things that have helped us move forward. And so with that, we will go ahead and get started. So once again, just want to welcome everybody. And tonight's topic is something really personal, and it can be powerful if you choose to have it be powerful. This is about, this is about reclaiming your next chapter. Many of us ended up living in reaction, where we responded to what others want, or maybe what the system taught us, or even what fear made us believe. And so tonight, we give you the invitation to actually shift and make a shift into creation. Because you deserve to live by design, not by default. So I want to take a minute and just let that land. You get to design it. And it looks like I'm starting out with a frog in my throat again. So sorry about that. So you deserve to live by design and not by default, not by what has happened to you and what has come into your life. So the other thing too is, this isn't about having it all figured out. It's about figuring out how and what it looks like to take one intentional step that has clarity, courage, as well as heart.
And if you're here, you've already started. You showed up. And I'd like to remind you to please have a journal or a notebook ready, a pen, maybe write down some questions that you may have, and that you'd like to come forward with at the end of the show, toward the end. And hopefully you're curious, maybe cautious, but something in you said, I want more than survival. I want something that's mine. Okay. And this is that something. You're not alone in this. We've walked this path, and we're walking it with you right now. So please drop it in the chat. Let's light it up. What does this next chapter mean for you right now? and just one word or phrase, or you can just write it in your journal for yourself. No pressure. Just name it if you feel it in the moment.
And I know for John and I, how we define our next chapter is Arizona. We have the goal to move to Arizona, where a lot of our work can be. We've got some collaborations that we're working on and stuff. So for that one word for us for our next chapter is Arizona.
Yeah, indeed. I kind of took that step a step toward that today, and just asking for assistance from my job, because I'm going to be transitioning with them, into the same company. So
Yeah.
All right, so let's start now. What if the life you've been living isn't the one that you were meant to live? What if reclaiming your life starts right here, right now?
So when I look at these questions, it reminds me of 2018, when John fell off the back of a truck and broke his back.
Yeah, that was pretty dramatic for me. I was laying there in the hospital bed that night, and didn't know where I was going to end up, but I knew it was going to be. And I didn't work for a whole year, but I knew that it was going to be better in the long run. That I was going to turn that into a positive. Because I was working the same job, just trudging along, and happy with where I was, but I knew that that was just a new chapter. Not the end. I wasn't going to end up in a wheelchair or collecting disability from there on. I knew, and even though I still, like Shannon mentioned in the beginning, I still experience pain because of that one incident, I do not suffer from it. So it's just the way I've reframed it, and into that arena.
And you had to make some steps, make some choices. And like you mentioned, when you were laying there in that bed, you actually made the decision. That was when you reclaimed that moment in your life where you said, I'm not going to go down this path. I'm going to go down this other path. And so, like you mentioned, you had, it took you a year. And I remember doing that period of time, you were doing research on what can you do, and you continue to take care of your emotional and your physical health, but you also looked at where you could grow personally. And yeah. So go ahead, sorry.
I was brushing up on my resume,
Mm-hmm.
dialing that in, and doing, like you said, doing research, and putting stuff together. I had to go live at a rehab facility for
Mm-hmm.
a total of 2 months. Just
Mm-hmm.
I had a brain injury as well, and I had to learn how to speak again, without stuttering, and finding words. But that's a rabbit hole I don't want to go down right now. But that was a big piece of it. I had to get through that as well.
Although, like you said, we don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but I do want to bring out that there were a lot of things that you had to learn during that period. There were new ways that you had to attack things. There were new tools that they taught you through the rehab. There were new tools that you learned to use, and so that you could have a life that wasn't going to either stay stagnant or where you were going to go backwards.
That's right. I had to reclaim my next chapter and learn how to do that. Absolutely. There was tools. I started journaling at that time,
Mm-hmm.
meditation, and to get my mind wrapped around it. And it didn't happen overnight. It took a
Yeah.
year, almost 6 days short of a year before I could even start working again.
Yeah. So now what I want to do is I want to invite everybody just to take a pause, take a breath, and I want you to think about these questions and let them please be more than just words on this slide. Because the other thing, this isn't about rushing forward. It's about learning how to listen to that part of you that may be saying, there's more to this, and I want to reach that. And so take a moment to think about that, and let us know in the chat if anything is coming up for you as you consider these questions. It looks like we might have a quiet group tonight.
No matter how long you've been out of the organization, so it's hard to break free from those habits, those patterns, those thought processes. Feeling worthy, feeling loved. Yeah, thank you, Yvonne. Appreciate it. It takes time. It takes work.
Yes, definitely. The other thing to remember is that you were in this situation and you adapted. And you also did what you needed to survive. Some of you were born, Ruby and I were having a conversation a few days ago, and we talked about that some of you were born into it, and you actually never had the chance to find out what it looked like to define yourself. And then there were others. The slide says chose it. I say manipulation. You were enticed into it, or you were tricked into it, or and now though you are having to unlearn those things that you had trusted in the past.
Right. There's no shame here either, right? Default isn't a flaw. It's just a function of survival. But survival isn't the destination here, right? It's the launch pad. So tonight we honor that version of you who made it through, and we look ahead to who you're becoming. So drop in the chat if anything's popping up. Does it feel true? Does this feel true for your journey at all?
And I wanna also pause, John, for a second here and reiterate what you said. You said, we honor that version of you who made it through. And I hope that you can feel that. I hope that you can feel the power of that statement. As well as I want you to consider as you look ahead, who are you becoming? And learning how to honor that as well. And as I sit here and am interacting with you guys and having the conversation with John, and I know for me personally, thinking about honoring that version of every single one of you who have made it through it, and I think about who you're going to become, it totally warms my heart. It makes me feel appreciation for everything that all of you have gone through, and excited about the different things that you're going to be discovering about yourself. And so don't forget to do that, because that's one of the things that we can get so busy that we forget to do that. We forget to pause and honor all of the things that we've accomplished so far.
And remember that perseverance, what you were able to endure and persevere through, has built resilience. So there can be some level of appreciation there for that too.
Mm-hmm.
And healing isn't just about what you left behind, is it?
Definitely not. It's more about what you choose, what is next. And that's actually what reclamation is. It doesn't mean that we're rejecting our past, but we actually take on that decision and reclaim the power, our power to choose what's next. And when we do this, this is absolutely a brave, intentional act. And I don't want to play that lightly. It is. Every time that you make a choice like this. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to shout it from the rooftops either. It can be a quiet choice. And it also can be very messy, definitely. But you can having that intentional act to move forward can be extremely empowering, even if you are still just figuring it out. What ends up happening is that we were able to transition from being aware and then stepping into agency and then owning it into authorship. And it's this transition that can help you to become and experience more empowerment. Now, like John and I have said, it's not perfect, but the power comes from it being personal. The other thing, it's not rushing. We don't rush forward. Like John said, with his broken back, it took him, he was out of work for over a year or around a year. And so it can take time as we're taking information, as we're practicing, as we're putting in application, when we learn stuff. It's also about making those choices, making those choices with intention. We have a reason. There's intent to the choices that we're making. And we definitely know that there's times that we have to step into courage. We also have to make sure that we're taking care, whether we're taking care of ourselves or taking care of those that are around us. So it's not about looking back at what you've left behind, but what you're intending with the choice that you're making next. So let's take a look at this. And I want to kind of drop into this idea and ask you, what would freedom feel like in your everyday life?
Just take a moment to breathe that in. Maybe drop it in the chat if you feel up to it. Something comes to mind. Thank you, Yvonne.
You're never late, Tony.
Right on time.
So maybe, what would freedom feel like in your everyday life? What do you think, John?
Peaceful morning, without guilt and shame for, things that I held on to for many years that maybe it looks like with no urgency, the things are like weighing on me. Maybe it feels like saying yes to what lights me up or no to what drains me, sucks my energy.
Yeah.
Running my time. Yes. Love it. Maverick 587.
Yeah. So we've got two pictures here on the slide, and the top picture, it represents what you could create, and then the bottom one is more about the energy. And so reclaiming actually happens on both of these levels. In that world that you create, which can include your rhythm and your space and things like your schedule. Then in your energy, that energy that you carry, it's the way that you breathe, decide, and show up for yourself. And I love what one of the things that mine and John's mentor talks about is that talks about a power plant. And a power plant, if I didn't enunciate that well enough, sorry about that. And he talks about how a power plant generates energy. And so we can choose the energy that we carry by calling it in and learning different tools, learning different techniques to actually bring our energy up, or actually even bring it down if we need to. And so you get to decide and show up for yourself. Now, also, reclaiming isn't just what you do, it's also how it feels to live as yourself. Have you thought about that recently? What that would look like to what you actually, if you were living truly 100% as yourself, what if you were to draw a vivid picture, what would that look like? And a lot of times it can be a challenge, especially when we were in such a tight control group, right? So one of the things that we may start with is, what types of emotions would I want to show up if I was in that whatever picture, as it's being drawn around me, as I'm a stick figure, I'm whatever in this picture, and it's being drawn around me, what emotions do I want there? And so even starting to identify that can be one of those steps towards taking, reclaiming what your life what you want it to look like. Now, I want to definitely invite you to use your imagination as well as tap into that emotional embodiment.
Sorry about the dogs.
Yep.
No.
I'm going to pause 1 second and shut that up really quick.
Thank you, Dallas, for that. So I'd like to give this some structure. Here are 3 anchors that we use for ourselves and with our clients: clarity, intentionality, and flexibility.
Who would have thought that words like this would have been tools? That a lot of times we just think of them as words, but we can actually, if we start using them, it can help us to design that life that we want. Now, with clarity, we might ask ourselves, what do I want? What do I want now? What do I want in the future? Now, all of us that have come out, were told what we wanted. And I know for me, being in not only in the organization, but being in a domestic violence situation, I was also even told what I could wear. So clarity is about learning how to see yourself clearly, as well as giving yourself permission to look at things in a different way, and to look and see what feels right. Now, intentionality, this is aligning those actions that you have and with your values. And even if that means that you're going to say no, and even if it's small. Now, this actually can help you. And we're planning on bringing core values in as a topic in the future. I know that by knowing and having my core values has helped me to be able to make decisions and to have less of the emotional noise that will go on, because I know that I'm living in alignment and doing things that are in alignment with what really resonates with me. And then the other thing too is intentionality can help you know, like, where does your energy go when nobody's watching. And then that third anchor, flexibility. Now we could imagine that this, you're getting bent all over the place by whatever is happening. No, this is the type of flexibility that helps you to design your life and evolve as you're evolving. And what this does too is that it helps to build that self-trust. And it gives you that ability to bend without breaking and let life shape you, not erase you. Now, the thing that came to mind as I was thinking about this tonight was, how many times have we seen different conversations, those of us who are on Facebook and stuff, where people will bring in their conversations, and they'll end up getting pulled into one of those watchtower debates or arguments. And when we learn how to be flexible, it doesn't mean that we give up our ideas, and it doesn't mean that we give up what is important to us, but learning where and when to be flexible can actually help us to go forward. And it can also help us to be more strategic in the way that we're communicating it. And that's just one of the examples. So as you evolve, as you and your life evolve, things will definitely change. That didn't even make sense, what I was just saying. I'm so sorry. As you evolve, you're going to grow. Sorry.
It's all right. It's like, you don't have to do it perfectly, as we say.
Thank you.
just have to pay attention with honesty and with grace, right? Mm-hmm. Wherever you're starting from, just whether you're born in or you joined later, this is your space. These tools are yours. And we could say that they're also habits, things to mm-hmm. Work on over time. And like with any other habit, it just takes repetition, doesn't it? So, these work no matter where you're starting from. Indeed, that's for sure.
So next, we're talking about moving from that space where we're surviving to creating. So I want to think about this. Let's ground it. I actually got that first question today from one of the mentors that we have on his post today, and said, "What are you ready to let go of?" And it really resonated with me because of some of the challenges that have popped up in these last couple of weeks. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to let go of those. But there are pieces of it that I'm like, am I holding on to that? Am I holding on to it when I really don't need it anymore? And I'll use, for example, like with us moving to Arizona, one of the things simply is our extra bedroom. So we haven't had any guests come to stay at our house since we moved here. And so do I really need the extra bed? And yet it's the idea of, I had always wanted a house with an extra bed, with a guest bedroom for when my kids came over or family visited or something. But it's what exactly am I afraid to let go of with it? Is it the bed itself? No, it's not. It's that emotional attachment that I have to the potential guests, to my family and stuff. And so the next question, what are you ready to move toward? And with this situation, if we just look at the Arizona thing, I want to be ready to move toward, forward and toward that goal in moving to Arizona. And so these are two questions that no matter where you're at, grab these and put them in your toolbox. Grab them and because as you go along in your life, these are questions that you're going to continually want to ask yourself. It's not something that you just do once and you move on and you never have to worry about it again. It's something each level that you go through, each time that you're growing, you can ask yourself this, and it can help you to see, is there an emotional connection to it, or is there something else? Is there a fear tied to it? What exactly is it? And so that's what I love, these two questions.
And remember that just one small active release can shift everything, in a different direction. We just try to recommend it. Just choose one small action this week to reclaim your mornings, your boundaries, your voice. You grab your journal or make a note in your phone. What's one action you can take today to reclaim it? Let me take a moment. If something comes to mind, drop it in the chat. Let's light it up. Let's try to make this about social learning. What's one thing we can do right now or start doing?
Now, you mentioned earlier, John, that you had made the one of the decisions and one of the choices that you made today was actually talking to the regional manager about getting some assistance with our moving costs. And I know for me, I ended up reaching out to a moving company, and so if I consider these questions with that, what am I ready to let go of? Like I said, I did mention the bed. In reaching out and talking to her, I think the thing that I was ready to let go of was the fear of hearing what it would cost. Because once again, it's like, I definitely we want to move forward towards Arizona. So if you were to consider your decision, John, this morning with the regional manager, what would you say that you had to come to be ready to let go of in order to ask that question?
Fear of rejection is what comes to mind. And just be willing to look, to have another course of action in that, in that situation, and just trust the universe.
Yeah.
Definitely. But just be letting go of that fear is huge, because it makes it easier next time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you just and not be afraid of the word no.
Yeah.
And just hey, just have to take another course of action.
Definitely. And one of the things too that we dive deep into in our one-on-one coaching as well as our group coaching is courage, and things that you can do to help you to identify what those fears are and how you can move forward.
So reclaiming your life isn't just about one big breakthrough, right? It's a series of small sacred practices. Okay. And for me, something I've had to develop over the course of years is just, meditation practice, journaling, breathing exercises, pausing, stretching, and just being able to dial things in and calm things down on kind of in the moment. And like that takes time and things that you need to develop. What about you, Shannon?
Well, I know to remind myself that I trust myself, and that you know, there are times you probably even see me do it quite a bit on the video, is that I have a tendency to put my hand on my heart a lot. And so one of the things that I like to encourage people to do is do something like that and remind themselves, my life is mine. This belongs to me. And also ask questions like, what would today look like if I trusted myself? And we know that trust is a big thing. It's a big thing coming out of that high control group, because we don't know how to trust ourselves. And so small practices can actually have lasting change. And one of the things that I did, I may have shared this story before, but especially when I came out of the domestic violence situation, I didn't trust myself, and I couldn't even accept a compliment from other people. But I did trust my counselor. He had proved himself. And so I trusted him. So what I started doing was I would basically like borrow his trust in me. And so when people would compliment me, I would kind of bank it in my head that I accept it kind of on his behalf, until I started believing it myself, until I had started building enough trust in myself enough to where I could actually accept the compliment on my own. And these small practices of telling yourself, that my life is mine, or any other type of affirmations that might be able to help. You don't have to shout this out. This is personal. And the biggest thing is like making sure that that you're paying attention to it. And as if you're whispering this to yourself, listen and hear it. And even if you right now, even if you say I don't believe it, you can encourage yourself. You may not believe it now, but I'm going to keep trying. And this is where and how we can continue to rebuild that trust in ourselves. And some of us, it's not even rebuilding it; it's just plain out building it.
Right.
And so, is there anything that a reminder or ritual that any of you guys might want to do this week?
Anything come to mind? For me, you talk about whispering it to yourself.
Yeah.
One thing I like to say is talking about the subconscious. So whatever you say out loud or think, your subconscious just takes it as absolute fact,
Yeah.
and your body will respond in kind.
Yeah.
And that's the one big step in the right direction. Yeah, so I like to do that, even if I don't believe it.
Yeah.
In my head.
Definitely. So, like John and I have talked about too, it's like we've done this. We've walked this, and I shared a little bit, about my counselor, and I remember, also feeling like I didn't know what to believe, because I remember standing in my very first apartment after I left my abusive husband, and looking up to the ceiling and wondering if God existed. And I had been told what to want and what to wear, like I said. And so I didn't even really know what I wanted at that point. I know what I didn't want. I didn't want to be hit anymore. But it took steps, it took practice, it took connecting with people that that helped me. And we've walked, like we said, we've walked this path. And I wanted to be able, from way back when, from the very first time that when I first left and I met all of these amazing women who had been in abusive situations, I wanted to be able to help, but I didn't know how. And so that's why, a couple of years ago I wrote the book Triumph Over Darkness, My Journey. And it's also why we created the resilience code, because we do want to be able to help people. And sharing stories can be extremely powerful. And so we it matters. Your story matters, your healing, your growth matters. And we definitely, we don't want anybody else to have to reclaim their life alone. And that's why you never would have, in my wildest dreams, you never would have saw me get on a YouTube channel and record and share all of things like this, share personal things. But it matters because you matter.
Indeed. This isn't just a program. It takes you from survival to authorship. It's a path that we've lived, and now we hold that space for others to walk through.
Yeah. And so we touched a little bit last week on our 6-week coaching program. And so we wanted to just remind you again, if anybody is interested, our next session, it actually opens up tomorrow. And we begin the classes, the 6-week classes, on July 10th. So if anybody is interested, what really helped us, one of the things that really helped John and I, was making sure that we were looking forward. And that's definitely one of the things that we have learned in our journeys, is finding that healing that was rooted in that forward momentum. But without it, it's not like pressurized, and it's not about performance. This is where we learned how to have presence, and to also make sure that the things and the decisions that we were making had purpose.
Yeah. It's just a 6-week experience that helps you rebuild with clarity, intention, and support.
So, like we said, we wanted to make sure that you knew what was aware, if anybody is interested in working with us closer. But let's move on.
Yeah.
And let's go and open up, let in, and take one step forward.
Okay. So what's one belief that you're releasing here? And what truth are you ready to live? As you can see in the slide there, the questions. What's one action that you'll take tomorrow to honor that?
Now, like we've said all night tonight too, you don't have to fix your whole lifetime. That would just be nuts anyway, if we tried to claim that you could fix your whole entire life tonight. But one of the things that you can do is take one small sacred step towards that design, towards that life that you want, whether it's identifying, that emotion that you want to experience more. I want to take a minute right now. Now, you don't have to share it in the chat if you don't want to, but you can if you want as well. But I want to just take a minute, and we're actually gonna watch the clock for a minute and have you reflect.
I'll set the timer.
You'll set the timer? Okay, set the timer.
1 minute right now. All right.
So what's one sacred step that you can take towards your design? And feel free, if you want to put it in the chat. We'd love to see, because we want to cheer you on. We want to cheer you on too, on some of the things that you want to do. I hope you picked a good alarm.
I didn't pick any alarm. I just
okay.
Set it on my phone. We'll see.
Any thoughts, any ideas? Anybody willing to share?
There it is.
There it is. All right. Well, I hope that you guys jotted down a good idea for what you want to be that one step. Now, like what John talked about earlier, when he talked about his story in the hospital, his one step was actually making the decision that he wasn't going to stay where he was. He was going to go forward. It was the decision that was that micro action, and that has changed our life, because we wouldn't be doing what we're doing now if he would have given up, if he wouldn't have made the choice that he did. So just want to encourage you guys to be attentive and intentional with that micro step.
There was with that experience of mine, it wasn't just a decision; it was a knowing. A certain knowing that brought a satisfaction, and in that whole experience. That's why I can say, that I don't experience. I don't. I experience pain, but I don't suffer from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it reminds. It's a great reminder of where I've been and what I came out of.
Yeah.
Into a better place, into a better space now.
Yeah.
And that was just a price that I've paid personally, because I would not, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change a thing in order to be where I'm at right now, helping other people and just being a life of fulfillment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
King Tony, or Ruby, can you bring King Tony's comment back up? Respecting my own personal space. I love that. I love that that's the intention that you're choosing for this week, and I honor you and I celebrate that. So good job. All right. So coming up next week, we're actually gonna bring a new kind of idea.
All right. Yes. Next Monday, we're going to go deeper into identity and liberation.
And so the episode has a little bit different name than this. It says on here, it says, "Are you part of the exit generation?" But actually what we're going to have is the introduction to the exit generation. And it is talking about a movement, and we want to share a new idea and see what you think about it. So if you know of anybody, please have them join us next week, because this is something that when it kind of surfaced, I got super excited about it. And some of the people that I've been sharing it with, they got pretty excited about it. And so join us next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you ever have asked, who am I now? This one might just be for you. And I've made a few comments, like in some of the Facebook groups and stuff. And every single time that I bring a certain aspect of the exit generation in there, I get a lot of responses, of a lot of different reactions. So I've got a really, I've got an interesting idea that I want to bring forward and see what you guys think. Does that sound exciting to everybody?
Of course it does.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm so glad that you said that. So
I'm excited.
I'm super excited. I'm super excited to finally be able to be sharing some of the different things with it. So before
evolving.
Yeah. Before we close, as always, we want to hear from you. and want to invite anybody that wants to come up on the stage and ask a question, now's the time to do that. And while we're waiting, I want you to consider what stood out to you tonight and what feels true for you now that didn't before. And also, like we said, forward facing. What forward facing question are you going to carry into this coming week? So anything that you want to share, feel free to drop it into the chat. We'd love to see that. And if you want to join and have a question asked, click the link in the chat.
This is your time. This is about social learning. We all kind of learn from each other when we're here.
And this is one. Oh, sorry, John.
No, go ahead.
This is actually one of the ways that our mentor has. It is incredible to see when to see this type of learning, and when people will get up and ask a question and be brave enough to do it. We're not perfect. We'll do the best that we can in what we've learned and what we've taught. So would definitely love to hear from you guys. And also you can even get on and let us know what you'd like to learn about in the future even.
Yes, even future topics that we could come forward with and whatnot. That'd be, definitely taken into consideration for sure. Yeah. What I love about this program or what we're doing here is it's not an echo chamber. This whole community is people of such diversity, and of thought and actions that they're, everyone's taking. And we could, like I said, we could all learn from each other, and we definitely don't all agree with one another. That's just fine. It's not a big deal. Unlike in the organization where if you dared speak out or ask questions, then you were looked down upon. But that's definitely not the case here.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, it looks like we've got a quiet group tonight. And that's okay. It's absolutely okay. We know how this was kind of a crazy day for us too. And like we started out with, John wasn't feeling the best and stuff. So we completely understand. But hopefully you got something that you could take away tonight.
And we know that you've already begun reclaiming your life here. And we believe deeply in your ability to shape it with courage and intention. That's what you're doing just by being here.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And you can definitely feel free to reach out to us, email us, find us on Facebook, message us, DM me or Shannon with any questions about anything, any ideas on topics or whatnot going forward.
And there is a link on our the Deservingly You YouTube channel. There's a link where you can actually set up an appointment with either John or I as well personally.
Yes. 60-minute strategy session at no cost.
Yep. Ruby, did you have a question?
Just wanted to thank you, Shannon and John, for coming on every Monday and doing the work that you're doing, the content that you're making.
Oh, thank you.
I really liked your episode tonight, the way that you make us think and you make us question our future. That's a first for some people like us. We never had to really think about the future and what we were going to do with our lives, because technically we weren't supposed to live this long. So it's a new thing for me to try to see, who am I going to become? You say that phrase a lot. Who are we becoming?
Yeah.
And who do we want to become? And I never had to think in those terms. I always thought that this was it was done, and that I was waiting for something to happen. But now, listening to you guys and to your content, I'm changing the way I'm thinking so that I can do the work now, so that I want to be the person who I see myself that I want to be. I just don't know how to get there. So it's
Yeah.
like these are the kind of the stepping stones that you bring out to us and to the audience. So I just wanted to make that comment and to thank you guys for coming on here every Monday.
Oh, thank you, Ruby.
You're very welcome, Ruby.
I have
Thank
a
you for having
question.
us.
And then she disappeared on us.
Who?
Oh, there, Ruby. So I'm curious, how does that make you feel with the thought of who are you becoming?
It used to give me a lot of anxiety because I didn't know what that was. I never had a picture of that in my mind. I never thought I would reach this age or get this old or get married or have children or any of it. It
Yeah.
just sort of just happened with, it almost felt like without my consent.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And that may be like 50% true, but the other half of it is just regular life. Like that's what people do, get married and have kids. It's normal.
Mhm.
But I never had to plan for those things, and I never did.
Mhm.
So I used to get a lot of anxiety and depression thinking that either I could have avoided something, or maybe I could have planned better or done something better. You know, you're always like second thinking everything, and you're just wasting more time. And I realized that. So
Yeah.
now, like when you mentioned intentionality, that's exactly what it is. I'm trying to be more intentional. I'm planning things out. I'm saying yes to things, or I'm saying no to something. And it feels like more like I'm in control. I'm planning my schedule. I'm going because I want to go to these things, or I'm associating with these people because I want to associate, not because we're in the same religion, or that they're not in my religion, so I can't associate with them. There's no more barriers. I'm no longer in that mental prison. So
Right.
everything is kind of open, but then it's scary. So I'm learning how to trust myself. And you mentioned that as well, learning how to trust ourselves and our instincts. And that also is brand new, is learning how to trust that and be in a safe environment emotionally. Because physically I'm safe, right? That I'm
Right.
not in danger, but emotionally and mentally, I'm stepping into the unknown, and I don't know what that's gonna be like. But I've noticed that it is changing who I am. 5 years ago, I wasn't the same person that I am today. Even a
Right.
year ago, everything has literally changed, and I see that within myself.
That's amazing. That it is so, it's so cool to hear that. What was I going to say? I can't wait now. I can't wait for next week, because I can't wait to see what you guys think about what we're bringing forward and what we're hoping to build. So I'm just super excited. I was working on it today. I have the majority of the outline done, and so just especially with kind of what you were saying, it almost sounds like you don't know where you're at on the map. You don't know where you're at on the road. It's almost like being in a different country, and all of the signs are in a different language. And so not knowing how far you've got to go or where you're even at. So I'm really excited about sharing what we've got up our sleeve for next week.
Yeah, me too. And that was a good analogy because I mean, even the title alone is you said the exit generation. Are we part of it? Uh Definitely our community can relate to that. And it's not just with a cult or religion. It's just everything in life. It's like, are you exiting from all of that manipulation and toxicity and dysfunction? Like that's all we've ever known, and that was normal to us.
Yeah.
So now it feels like if it's not dysfunctional, then it's not normal to me, and it feels weird to see what normal looks like, what calmness looks like, what function, how families are supposed to function. So we're learning that now, and it is weird, but I'm thankful for people like you and John, that you guys only left about what, like a year ago, and you've already shared so much with us, and it's almost like a shocker that we found a gem of a couple like you guys to do this with us. So I am so excited for next week. Thank you.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry. You're gonna make me cry, Ruby.
Oh no, don't do that, because you would make all of us cry, because you don't know how long. I mean, I personally have been waiting for something like this. My cousin King Tony, we have conversations all the time. People on Discord who are sharing their experiences and sharing their journeys, and it's like how the world kind of drug us like a rag doll, and it's like we don't have anybody that we can actually go to, or like you guys, like you have a website, you have us, you're accessible, we can talk to you, we can chat with you, you make yourself available, and that's what being in the present is. And that's exactly what we've needed, that to fill that little hole in my heart, because I don't have a mother anymore. You're like a mother figure, I never had a dad like that. It's like, so when we see couples like you in the community, even like Joe and Fran, that's how I relate to them. It's like a grandmother and a grandfather figure. So, and you guys are like more like a parent figure. And for us, like the younger generation, that's exactly what we kind of need. So you guys are like, valuable, your time spent here. So that I just want to show that appreciation for the content for us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you definitely add value to us as well. And the help that you've given us to have this platform. Thank you, Ruby. Appreciate it. Hi, King Tony.
Thanks, Dallas.
Oh, hello.
Hey, Tony, how are you?
Oh, I just, I just wanted to say, thank you again, for things like this. It's good information for us to keep, and that notebook idea that you guys always tell us to take out is such a good idea too, because we can go back to it. It's a good resource, and this is something that honestly, like, it's like what Ruby said, we've been looking for this for a long time. So it's really great to have this this guidance. This is amazing. This is gold.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. My sound is cutting in and out, but I am catching most of it.
Yeah. What are you taking forward this week, Tony? Oh, she disappeared on me. Well, if nobody else wants to come up, Ruby, can you share the screen again? So what we want to do is we want to leave you with this idea. And this is a quote from Carl Jung. And it says, I am not what happened to me. I am who I choose to become. I want you to take that into your next step, into your next tomorrow, into your next week. And I also want to remind you that you are not behind and that you are becoming. And I'm getting emotional thinking about Ruby and Tony. You have no idea what that means to us.
Indeed. That helps us feel fulfilled and purposeful. Like this is actually reaching, and all the hard work is paying off, and that we're honored to walk this path with you and to be on it, and to move forward. Each and every one of us adds value to each other. We appreciate you so much for being here. And we'll see you next week, hopefully. Tell all your friends.
Yes. Much love. Thank you. You too, Ruby.
Absolutely.
All right. You guys have a great week.